Hello. So in today's episode, we're going to discuss the easy path and the hard path, the addiction to struggle and the addiction to the easy way when we are progressing spiritually. Now, from the perspective of spiritual dissolution or moving forwards in terms of the liberation of the impositions of the individual, this is the big brunt of the spiritual path. So as we go through this, we'll encounter different hurdles. And one hurdle that many people run into, if you're of a discipline type of mentality, is the the hurdle of it has to be hard, right? And this is the addiction to the struggle, to overcoming something. Now, when we're pushing against something and overcoming something, this is like waves going into a wall, right? And then bouncing back. And so when we send that struggle out, we receive that struggle back, and this gives us a point of self-reference, right? We are perceiving ourselves in relation to the struggle. Therefore, we can recognize at that particular layer of density that we're working at and working with our own existence and any type of progression that we might be making along the path in relation to that resistance. So it gives us feedback. Okay, this is the same as if you were shadow boxing, and instead of letting the energy move out of the body, you stop it, and the resistance to that movement of energy is what lets you feel and perceive the power of that energy. So we become very addicted to the fight, because that fight allows us to perceive our own self and our own trying, our own struggle, our own effort. And when we are perceiving our own effort in such a way, there is a lot of pride in the amount of effort that we are exhibiting, right? So the identity latches on and goes, that's how much effort I'm putting in. And then your whole cascade of self-worth and whatever it is that might be tied up in that particular process gets to play itself out and gets to validate itself as the identity validates itself in relation to that resistance. So this is very, very common when we are getting into meditation and in really any activity that you're going to get into. Now, why it's hilarious from the sort of higher level meditative standpoint is that, well, it doesn't have to be that hard. And the only thing making it that hard is ourselves, for the reasons just stated. So it becomes a very counterproductive process as time goes on. However, it can serve a purpose in the beginning that, in that we develop discipline, right? And we develop the ability to actually put in the effort. Okay, now, yes, it might be from a peculiar place of self-reference and identification, but it allows us to actually do that. And one of the biggest values of putting in that effort, cultivating effort and discipline, is that you then can stop working with that discipline, with that effort. But it's very, very difficult to move beyond that type of effort and discipline if you haven't built that capacity. So this, if encountered or worked with from the place of the lower identity, will always hold us back to that particular density and to that self-referencing, because that's what we are practicing in that context, is self-referencing. Now, the other side of this is if we attach too much, too hard to the idea of it being easy, which it can be, just as we can apply effort in a way that is conducive to spiritual growth and liberation, we can also apply easy effort, right? It can be easy. This we can apply in a way that is conducive to spiritual growth, dissolution, liberation. We can also apply this ease in a way that, once again, satiates our need to be self-referencing creatures and stabilize our own identity. So we have to be very careful that when we are working towards this it can be easy type of mentality, that we are not simply running away from the effort that can be necessary to progress. Okay, there is a very, very rampant delusion within the easy path that, oh, I don't have to do anything, which essentially you don't. But this gets into the we might say like correct and incorrect perceptions, or the place from which you are perceiving the not doing. Are you doing the not doing, or are you actually not doing the not doing? And this, once again, has to do with self-referencing. When you let go of the doing, you're not doing the not doing, you're not folding into yourself, there's no imposition, there's no pride, there's no prideful idea that we're attaching to of, oh, I don't have to do anything, it's so easy, I'm one with everything. There's many, many sayings and words that we attach to. So if there's an idea that you very much attach to that makes you feel good about yourself, then that's something that we're clinging to, that's a nub. We are then doing that idea. And so the place we move towards is the smoothing out or scrubbing down of all these ideas, all these doings that we're doing. And over time, that all starts to soften away. And we start to move towards a more and more easeful, easy path that's actually true. Okay? So this is a dichotomy that until you reach a certain stage will be very, very tricky, because on both ends there is a lot of self-referencing, identification, and of course delusion. So we want to work from the perspective of energetic openness, openness of mind, openness of emotion, openness of body, openness of energy, and be working towards and through that open emptiness, or that empty openness. As we do that, we can then start to navigate this in a different way. Okay, so this is very, very important, and we really want to make sure that as we practice, we aren't actually the thing holding ourselves back. So if we are addicted to the struggle and it has to be hard, then we practice hard, and the very practice that we're doing is creating obstacles that we will have to work our way through as we reach the next stage of release. Okay, and of course, the same applies to the easy path. If we attach to the "it's so easy" mentality, and we aren't actually there, then that creates a whole world of subtle tensions that we'll have to work through later on. These views and the identification with those views. And so that sort of easy thing, it's very, very common in more of the, we might say like a new age type of communities, where the culture is around sort of easy knowledge and intention, but with very little actual practice being put in, very little actual experience. And so then all of the experience that is had facilitates to stabilize, support, and build these foundations of cohesion to those particular concepts. So we need to move beyond the concept into a non-conceptual type of wisdom that doesn't need to attach to particular ideas, particular words, philosophies. All this stuff is beyond philosophy. It is beyond words. It's beyond writing. It's beyond any idea that we cling to in any way whatsoever. So we need to move through all of this stuff. And as we're moving through, we'll encounter both of these. Okay, so it can be very, very easy to progress, but you have to let it be easy. And you have to let it be easy in such a way that there is still that effort that is conducive towards that liberation. This doesn't come without effort, but we hear effort and we think of it in terms of trying. We think of it in terms of acting, of doing, of there being an identity, a self that is doing a thing. And that needs to be stepped away from. And what happens is we end up falling into this type of absorption and dissolution, dissolving into it as opposed to clinging to it, latching onto it, and trying to do dissolution, which is also hilarious. So this whole topic is something that a lot of folks struggle with. I certainly spent many, many years in that stage of it being hard, it being difficult, it being something that has to take a tremendous amount of hard style effort, right? But there is a soft style of effort. And the real sticking point here is, from where are you efforting or exerting effort? And is the energetic quality to it compressive or expansive? Is it? And here's the thing, is it can be expansive in such a way that is still contractive. And you're like, oh, wait, what? But yeah, you can be doing expansiveness, stretching, I'm expanding, and who's expanding? What's expanding? All right, if we come back to those types of questions, is this everything that there is? Is like, what is doing this? Who is doing this? Who is meditating? What is meditating? What's still there? What's still acting? What's still doing? And this brings us into release, right? And okay, release on every little thing that comes up, every little tension, every little attachment and clinging on and on. And this serves a purpose, once again, at a certain stage, closer to the beginning, we might say, when there is the self that is doing release. And this is great when we're observing thoughts that are coming up, feelings that are coming up, etc., different tensions of the body. We observe these things and then we release on them. But who or what is releasing? And this is where we really can run into an issue. If there is an identity that is doing the release, then once again we are trying to release in a way that is feeding a sense of self, that is feeding a type of self-reference. So we release in a way that creates collapse or folding, or when we're doing release, well, you get the types of folks who and everything's releasing, and okay, yeah, the release is moving me. Okay, but there's a dichotomy there just in those words. The release creates this movement, maybe, but as this whole thing flips, you are no longer a thing, a self-referencing identity that is releasing to stabilize and create a foundation to that very self-referencing, but you become release that is occasionally thinging instead of a thing that is engaging in the process of release. So from that place of your personal Akashic consciousness, from that place of emptiness, of the infinity of you that is of the infinity of infinity, between my hands right now, you could say there's infinite points of reference. Also, outside my hands, there's infinite points of reference. So there's infinity within infinity, infinity without, or beyond infinity. From that place of your personal infinity and its relationship to the universal infinity, or Akasha, this becomes we could say, identity that is infinite. And within that infinity, then there is thinginess happening, there's stuff happening, there's phenomena, there's cohesions of form, thought form, feeling form, physical form, on and on it goes, right? But that is just popping in and out from the infinite perspective, as opposed to trying to release those from the finite identity perspective, right? And when we are engaged in this infinity or Akashic identity, all of this stuff is allowed to just come into form and fall away. You look at the arising of thought, the cessation of thought, the arising of feeling, the cessation of feeling, the arising of phenomena, the cessation of phenomena from more of a Buddhistic perspective. If you watch that whole chain as that wave is slowly building and then it forms into a crystallized thought, then it falls away. If we are working from the place of the lower identity, we observe that thought form, and now I am having that thought form and I am releasing that thought form. So I'm creating it and letting it go. And this creates these moments of release that are very floppy, where we're, right? You're letting all the energy go. This is simply dissipating all of the energy, because we are then feeling the shape of the body or whatever fold into itself, and now we get the representation cognitively and perceptually of that very release, of that surrender, which then stabilizes and feeds into that identification function. So the doing becomes something that is, doing of release becomes something that inhibits the actual transition to identifying with, or we could say surrendering into, a more infinite perspective, a greater fractal or infinite fractal of identity as we keep progressing along this path. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Whichever side of the coin you might be on, whether it is a more innate habit for you to try very hard or a more innate habit for things to be very, very easy, we want to make sure on both ends of the spectrum that we aren't deifying the identity, and that we are not falling into delusion, lying to ourselves, simply in the, for the, we might say, like, elation of, me, I'm so special because it's so easy for me, or I'm so special because I try so hard. Both of these you'll run into issues as you keep progressing. So have a think, meditate on it, go for a walk, and allow this to percolate through over time. For those of you interested in training, there is a retreat coming up November, the month of November 2025. You can check that out. Details on the website. There's of course the online training programs as well in Hermetic Alchemy, Qi Gong meditation, and the one in Tai Chi as well. And the Tai Chi is a really nice tool to use to explore the states of identity and energy and everything that you work with from the Hermetic program, Qi Gong program as well. Alrighty, thanks for your time. See you next time. Bye.